currently running, but that's all right. So everybody good here? So I've added these. Did you guys see these slides with this woman? Or because I added them very recently, but maybe it was before here, right? So we're trying to understand these things in different ways, and the more different ways you can understand the same things, the better. So, whenever you see her, we're going to be moving, understanding the inner thing, and then we're going to be moving out. I guess for you guys, right, this way, we're going to be going from right to left. Right, so we're going to want to think, here's the statement, and what's the statement about? Right? Is it about boys? Is it about girls? Is it about a time, right? What do you think? Girls are good, is kind of what I was hinting at, but here I'm going to go further than that. I'm going to say it's about date, because why? Because date, what is date? Date's a free variable, right? And that's what I've been struggling with so hard when I've been studying the 1090 material. What do you do with free variables, right? Are they for all, because we're considering we want a tautology that's true for any universe? Or is it an exists because we have one universe and we have one value for it? Right now, let's just think about this as a parameter that we bring in, and whether this statement is true or not depends on the date, right? So it's a property of the date. So on Monday, it might be true, right? On Monday, there might be a girl who loves every boy, but on Tuesday, it might not be true anymore, right? Somebody had a fight. Everybody good? So that being said, I want to move away from free variables because they're scary. I don't really know what to do with them. But here, now, what is this about? You're all right. It's more about the girl, right? It's saying there's no free variables, so the leftmost quantifier is the girl, and we start there. We say, what is this saying? This saying is something about the property of girls. And what are we saying about girls? We're saying there is some girl that has this property, right? And then we can go in and say, okay, there's some girl that has the property. Let's call it property. What property does she have, right? And here, for every girl, we can see, does girl G prime, does she have the property, does she not have the property? And what does this statement have to do with, right? Now, you could say before we were saying free variables, we're asking whether this girl has this property or not. But now, once we know who our girl is, what about the girl are we talking about? And what we're talking about is we're talking about boys in relation to her, right? We're saying boys have a property. What property is that? Every boy has the property that she, right? See here, it's sort of property sub G prime, right? The property is does a boy love G prime or not, right? All right. So we're gonna build up these backwards and understand these meanings, right? So here, what does this mean? If you're, so in this, we're gonna have tests, which I give you some first order logic statement, and you're gonna have to understand what it means, right? Or I'm gonna tell you some meaning, and you're gonna have to write down a first order logic statement, and then you're gonna have to prove it. And people just don't do very well on this, right? So this is where I'm trying to find better and better ways for you to understand it, right? So if I give you some first order logic statement like this, the one way of understanding it is to start on the inner core and work your way out, right? So if we're doing that, we're saying, what does this mean? Well, this means we have some boy, concrete boy here, we have some concrete girl here, and we're asking, does this boy love this girl, right? So we get that meaning, right? And then we move out and we say, well, this says every boy has the property that he loves G prime, right? And so now I want you to write down a sentence to say what this means. And I want the sentence to emphasize the thing that it means the most about, right? We decided that, well, yeah, it means the most about G prime. It's some property of G prime, but assuming that G prime is fixed. Now what is this a sentence about? It's a sentence about boys. So let's talk about boys, right? And we're going to... well, here again, I guess I'm not really doing what I said I promised, right? I'm talking about G prime, right? I don't know, G prime. Oh, no, you're right. I was getting it wrong, completely wrong, right? So here, what we want to talk about is, in fact, the free variables, all right? So here, the free variable is G prime, right? So we want to, the B is sort of secondary. It's like a little inner loop. We really want to say something about G prime, all right? So here, if we want to understand this sentence, we want to say, what does it say about G prime? And it says G prime is what? She's loved by all boys, right? So, and similarly here, we have we don't have any free variables, right? So if it doesn't have any true variables, then it's whether it's true, it depends on the universe. And we can say what? Well, now we're kind of saying there is a girl that's loved by all boys, right? So I don't know if this, I'm not sure I'm really helping here, but you can sort of see we're working our way up. Yeah?
I don't understand. You said the leftmost variable is the one we are talking about, and then you say now we are talking about the G prime.
I was confused there. Yeah, we were a little confused. So let's focus back to let's think about this example here. G prime is a free variable. So the first emphasis of what we're talking about is the free variable, right? This is going to say something about her, right? And then once she's fixed, then with respect to her, right, if we bring her as love sub G prime, then we're talking about the boys, right? But if I were going to just ask you, what does this mean? Then G prime's a free variable, so I want to know, what is it saying about G prime? Right? And so what does this say about G prime? It says G prime is what? She's loved by all boys. Right? So I guess that's what I'm saying. So what I got here is build up your understanding backwards. What does the subsequence say about the free variables? Right? With little emphasis on the bounded variables. Right? So here we have two free variables, so it talks about their relationship. Here we have one free variable, right? So this is a statement about this free variable. What does it say about the free variable, right? She's loved all boys. Now there's no free variables, right? So we need to talk about, in some ways what we're doing is we're talking about the universe. What's true about the universe? Well, what's true about the universe is something about girls. We're saying something about girls about the universe, that there is one, right? Anyway, I'm trying to help people understand these sentences, and yeah. No, it's talking about both of them. There's no sense of order, right? Here I got them both in whatever color that is, an orangey brown, right? It's talking about in fact, we would call loves a relationship, right? Because it tells you the relationship between those two variables. Yeah? Well, that's why I struggled so much with teaching 1090. Is what's implied here? What are we talking about this free variable? Do we have an implied there exists? Do we have implied there for all? I would like to for this course, let's assume that if there's a free variable, then it's like a subroutine. It's where the input is G prime, and then there's a statement, right? So here, G prime is not specified anywhere, right? B is kind of specified, right? It's quantified here. But G prime is not specified. So if this sentence is true, for some G primes and not true about other G primes. Right? So that's where I was kind of trying to say, right, where do we say it? Over here. Right? This is, what is this statement? Well, it's a statement that depends on, it's telling you something about G prime. Now, once we fix G prime, then we can say, what does it say about G prime? Right? We can go in. But the first question is definitely, what is it saying about G prime? Yeah? No, G prime, well, I've sort of switched between two things there again. When it was a G, well, maybe G is a free variable, and when I put a prime in it, now she's a specific variable, a specific girl, right? Right? So I've sort of switched from her being free. Either she's free or she's a specific girl that we don't know, right? So either way, that's who we're talking about, right? Yeah.
So to evaluate these statements, you need to assign G prime to be someone.
To be someone, right, right. Before we can know whether this is true, G prime has to be someone, right? And as soon as you get into your universes doing it, then it gets scary. So let's not do that. Let's think about it as a piece of code where G prime is the input, and we're going to output true or false, right? Yeah? Oh, you can flip it? Is love by? Yeah, certainly. Right. I mean, I have to pause. Is love? I can love you and you cannot love me. So that's certainly. But if the boy loves G, then G is loved by. Yeah, certainly. And when we're, in fact, you kind of hit on something. Later, we're going to be doing that. And when we do it one way, you kind of want them this way. And then and other times, we're going to want it that way. And so there is this switch. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah, so that's what we're talking about, these free variables. They're quite not pinned down yet, right? So they're going to be our input. The third one had none, so whether it's true depends on, now we have to down to the universe and the nature of all boys and nature of all girls in the universe. There was somebody else back there? You, yes.
The earlier person said if you flip D and G, and you said love.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. But does that have to do with because love, we have boy or B prime first and then G prime? Like we switch those, would it be the girl love?
Yeah. So I guess I'll answer the same question. The order in which I write here doesn't mean anything, right? And we could be writing this as what is B's relation to G? He loves her. What's G's relation to B? She's loved by him, right? And depending on whether we're doing for all X there exists a Y or for all Y, depending on what we're doing in the future, we're going to be switching that way of thinking, right? But right now we can think about, there's a B and there's a G and there's an edge between them. Because B loves G or G is loved by B, it's a relation, right? There's not necessarily an order, yeah? All right, so good question. Let's talk about bound variables, right? A bound variable has a quantifier, and G doesn't have a quantifier, so she's free, right? You guys get a gold star. I love all your questions. Yes?
How do you know that the B prime represents for all boys and just the G prime represents for some girls? In the third statement, you remove the G prime and you said it's for some girls.
Well, the third, this one here? Yeah. Well, they're both bounded.
Yeah, but B is bounded for, the boys are bounded for all and the girl is bounded for some girls.
Yeah, I got it written down here.
How do you know that it's for all boy or is it for some boy?
Because this, you know this symbol?
Oh yeah, it's for some, right?
Yeah.
And this one is for all, right?
Yeah.
So how are you so sure that it represents for all boys? It doesn't directly define.
You mean boys versus girls? Yeah, I'm kind of lying here. You know, you need to know your domain, and usually our domain's going to be the same. Here I'm making, right, in 1090, the domain of objects was one fixed domain. Here I'm kind of sort of saying there exists a girl versus for all boys, right? So if
If the quotient is different, like if Sam does not love MM, then it should be for some boys, right? If the Sam
are you concerned about the exist versus the for all, or how do you know that B is a good boy?
I'm saying that I'm confused about for all part.
All right, well, this is the symbol that means for all.
So if the quotient is different, if the quotient is if Sam doesn't love MM and the other three boys do love MM,
Right.
so will that symbol be for some boys?
Yeah, sometimes we have exists. We could say there exists a boy. We could say there doesn't exist a boy.
It really depends on the quotient.
With different questions. Yeah. All right. We did all this. Right. Now, what are we doing here? Right now, we're kind of switching them again, right? Here we're talking about B is our free variable, and we're saying what's true about B is she loves some girl, right? And then what does this say? Well, it has no free variables, so now we have to talk what's true about the universe. What's true about the universe? Well, specifically, what's true about boys? Well, every boy has some property. Every boy has the property that he loves some girl, right? People following how I'm trying to say what does it talk about and build it up? All right? And when we get to other examples, we can see. All right, so that's the one